Okay, hello everybody. Once again, here we are. I'm not sure what week it is, but it is the 25th. So we're gonna talk about the Breer text, chapter 4, 5, and chapter 4 and 5. Then we're gonna talk about Shauna's article about lighthouse and light keeping, and keeping of the lighthouses. So first, we're going to start with chapter 4 of the Bruner text, which is Lincoln's New Salem as a contested site. And this chapter deals with New Salem as a historical site, a reconstruction of the village in central Illinois where Abraham lived in the 1830s. And there are different stories as to like if this is true, if it's not true, and was his political climate what is it already decided before he ran for presidency, or this, that, and the third. So this is basically a reconstructed site. It talks about it's between like the contest between museum professionals and scholars who seek historical accuracy and authenticity, as well as people's own popular interpretation of Lincoln's heritage as it manifests in contemporary America. Now, the interpretive themes that we'll go through this like helps us better understand what's going on, and it also can be helpful and a guide, but can also be harmful depending on the information that is involved. So, the handouts, the brochures that they hand us. There was a dramatic statue directly across the way from the parking lot. Interesting, right? It's all strategic as a way to make you think, oh wow, like he's here, as well as like the written materials that are in the gift shops and souvenirs and in the bookstore. And then of course there's a video that's being played on a loop at the in the orientation room. So these are all the interpretive things that helps you better understand New Salem. Basically, New Salem is a site of transformation which shaped Lincoln into the person he used to be. He used to be this poor youth working as a storekeeper, and now he's a law partner, president, this, that, and third. So basically, New Salem is a national shrine for this because I found this really interesting because it basically showed how yes, it is a national shrine because like the old Lincoln died there to create the new Lincoln. It's almost like reincarnation, but in the same body, which is called growing up. So I thought that was interesting. So of course, we talked about the tensions and then New Salem as a performance. So basically, the tours are self-directed. You walk through the site, cabin to cabin. And like Plymouth Plantation, they give these third person interpretations of the site, but they go back and forth, which basically kind of is like, were you there, were you not, were you there, were you not, type of thing. And so, like, the element of play is one of the more attractive features of New Salem as a historical site, providing entertainment and pleasure to both interpreters and tourists. So basically, Frontier Village it includes a whole bunch of people. Yes. So moving on to chapter 5. Or wait, sorry, didn't conclude. So to conclude, it's just like the struggle or meeting between New Salem as a site of Lincoln's transformation, or as a site of craft festival, or is it festival, or is it academic, or is it just popular Lincoln, or is it everything smushed into one? And I guess it kind of like makes me think, like saying like, oh, this one story is this, and this one story is that, and like there's some truth to each of them, but I guess it's kind of like which one are you going to believe, or I guess which one makes the most sense to you. So again, it depends on the person at the time, whether what the parts of the place they stand in their life, this, that, and the third. So you can't look for meaning within New Salem itself. You must turn to people's interpretation of the site of New Salem. Now we're moving on to chapter 5. So Abraham Lincoln as an authentic reproduction, a critique of postmodernism. So it's basically a hyperreality. The reproduction is better than the original. So it's like it makes me think of The Purge for some reason. So I'm thinking of The Purge, and like the first Purge was like about one family, and you're just like, I don't really get it. Why did all this start? But then you have the sequel, which definitely killed in the box office tenfold. It was better, so I guess in that instance they're right, but whatever. So I don't know why I said that. Anyways, so basically what is real and what is not, and what is real and what is not to whom, and which I guess is the reproduction. Is it truly better than the original, or is it just more appealing and more satisfying to the masses or to the tourists or visitors that are coming to view this? So basically, we get to the question on page 149, what it does authentic reproduction mean? And basically, it's like is basically, this is the first time that we get a definition, so you know, of authenticity. And I was like, I need to write that down. So it's like basically what you as a person believe is credible and convincing. It's like, oh yeah, Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves. He's great. So you believe that. You have other things that are reinforcing that. So therefore, it's credible. It's convincing. There we go. There's other meanings of that. It's like, this looks like the 1830s. So it's all about like, what did you see with your eyes? And then like, oh, this looks like New Salem, which is a bit more specific. And then it refers to the original opposed to the copy. So it's like basically the third aspect of that is like figuring out if it's real or not. So then we talk about the two stories that are coming around. So we have like the first Barry Lincoln store, then we have the second Barry Lincoln store. The first one you can buy stuff, get souvenirs, but the second one you can't buy stuff, and it's meant to be more sacred. So the second Barry Lincoln is more authentic than the first one because the first one is, it's a gift shop, so it's been played up. So like the audience or the visitors of the site are well aware that this probably is not where he was, and if it is, then they feel awesome about it. They're like, oh wow, this is great. Whereas the second Barry Lincoln, it's again, could be authentic because it's like sacred. We're not selling stuff in here. Why would we do that? Like, this is where Lincoln walked. Why would we do that? You know. So basically, what is authentic, what is credible and convincing, and to whom. So basically, this constructed performance of the site is like visitors moving through, they're interacting with these interpreters, and it's basically an emergent in the social context of the visitor's experience of the site. So how they feel during the site, and you know, this, that, and the third. There were three major themes that the author did mention. First, the tourists consuming nostalgia. They're just doing this because they want to look at the handcrafted things that are locally produced, you know, and this like this thing to have, this idea of having something tangible to touch, to have, to take back home, and you know, do your debriefing as a post-tourist. And the second one is like the tourist walkthrough. They're buying the idea of progress. So it's like, okay, I see, wow, this is old rustic chains, log cabins, no AC. Wow, we've come a long way, type of thing. And the third is like basically the commemoration of traditional America. It's like you're seeing the hard work, everything that goes into it, looking back in the past and seeing who made this possible for the future. So I really appreciated that. As far as so we're gonna go straight into Shauna Macdonald's Centel's by the Sea. Basically, lighthouses stir the imagination of emotions, perhaps because they occupy dynamic cultural space. And I was like, oh, Shauna, way to open it up. Good idea. So basically, talking about the keepers themselves and how how they are performing keepers. So basically the guides, the curators, the people who are preserving this said history, the people who are reinforcing the goals, people who are I guess going back and forth and swaying between what is authentic and what is not. But honestly, that's not even the premise here. That's not even the goal of what they're trying to do. So basically, she talks about food. She mentions people we already know, which we know: Big Mac, McCannell, Schaeferson. Wow, Steven Schaefer, Stevenson Schaefer. Oh my gosh, Tracy, forgive me. I'm killing your name. We hear another something we've heard before: the second life, the reproduction of preservation. So basically, what is governed to be I guess sacralization. Yeah, I can't talk. So yeah, so basically, what needs to be sacred, what needs to be preserved, what needs to be saved. And so basically, this performing lighthouse tourism, which is on page 26, is like keeping like the little things, keeping the wicks lit, cleaning and polishing brass. They're doing all these things in order to preserve this, and they've done this in various ways. They turned it into a bread and breakfast. They turned it into a place where you can come and it's a gift shop, a visitor stop, a visitor center, things like that to keep people coming in. And it's like this is something that is important to our heritage, that is important to our culture, and something that needs to be preserved. In a previous reading, we had this I think prior weeks. We talked about like what needs to be preserved, and so basically site sacralization, it depends on like if you're trying to show some pride in something terrible has happened, or maybe there's a scarcity in this approach that makes you or that prompts you to preserve these types of things. And so, yeah, I think those are like the main things. And so, like the modern keeping, I think is just another thing I want to touch on before I let this go. The focus of modern keepers do not rescue sailors. The focus is saving the lighthouses themselves, rescuing the rescuers, as it were. So, in a sense, they're not rescuing, like, they're not, the lighthouses don't serve for what they used to because, like, technology has taken over. However, they do serve as a marker, as McCannell would say. So we have the tour site, then we have the marker of what happened, of how we used to do things, and it's a way to stay connected. And so I think I think Shauna did a great job with this. It was beautifully written. Um, and I like this. I really do. And I'm going to leave with this last quote. Keepers transform their lighthouses into heritage tourism, sites through curation and interpretation. So that was beautiful. I love it. Thank you, Shauna. Thanks, everybody. Have a great one. Bye.